la. Yeah. Oh, hi there. This is Andy EcoCat. How we doing today? Good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Really. Doesn't look that good, does it? All right. So today we're going to be talking about your compost may have GEO in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Okay? All right. GEOs are everywhere these days, and now they may be even in your compost you make or buy. Genetically engineered foods are in 90% of all foods sold in the USA. The Center for Foods and Safety states currently up to 92% of all U.S. corn is genetically engineered, as are 94% of soybeans and 94% of cotton. Cottonseed oil is often used in food production, food products. It has been estimated that upwards of 75% of processed foods on supermarket shelves, from soda to soup, crackers, or condiments, contain genetically engineered ingredients. That 75% is on the low side, with it actually coming closer to 90%. The Center for Food Safety also states, some studies over the past decades have revealed that genetically engineered foods can pose serious risks to farmers, humans, and domesticated animals, wildlife, and the environment. Despite these long-term and wide-ranging risks, Congress has yet to pass a single law intended to manage responsibility. The haphazard agency regulation of biotechnology has been a disaster for consumers and the environment. Unsuspecting consumers by the tens of millions are purchasing and consuming unlabeled GE foods, despite a finding by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration scientists that these foods can pose a serious risk. I recently was a guest on a show in Arizona. The caller asked me one question which took me the rest of the show to cover, and here it is. Does GEO end up in our compost? She had worded it this way: if I buy any food that is GEO and then if I compost it, will it destroy the GMO? First of all, what most people do not understand is how to make compost properly. Most folks do not know the difference between compost and rotting food. I tell folks that if you have rats or other animals coming and digging in your compost pile, that is not compost you're making by rotting food. There's a big difference. If you take food and add to the soil, it would decompose. Notice the word decompose. Sounds like uncompost to me, right? Compost, if properly made, will heat up to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. That it is not hot enough to destroy the chemical in the cell. Yes, it should destroy the cell and return its elemental composition back to its original form, but it will not get hot enough to destroy the Roundup or whatever chemical has been added. This is especially bad for compost made at the compost facilities, especially those that compost sewer sludge. The sludge is a concentration of many homes, of many folks, almost all eating GEO foods. The sludge is so the sludge will have large amounts of the chemicals that are found in the gene of the food. While the gene itself will be reduced, it will not affect the chemical, and that will be passed on to the soil. It will damage the soil and destroy the microbial life. I do not think the chemical will be passed on to the new plants, but it is possible, especially the system in the soil is not set up to know that a chemical is now part of the food gene. The soil's microbial organisms such as mycelium would not be able to know that the chemical is not natural and may just pass it along. What this means is that another plant may end up with the Roundup gene. I can hear it now from professionals that this is impossible. Remember, they also said it was impossible for plants with Roundup gene to spread to other plants, or that insects and weeds would develop immunity. It does not take a scientist to figure out the damage it can do to the environment as well as to living creatures. This is the biggest problem with GEO. It is not found in nature, and to introduce something Mother Nature has rejected is a very dangerous road to take for humans, the soil, and all living things. We do not know how nature will react or what will develop from this. I wrote several articles about the difference between GMO and GEO and how it is GEO that we must control. It's not a bad thing as long as we use it for the benefit of all humankind and not for profit. GEO can save humankind from the coming climate changes. It can allow farmers to grow corn at higher temperatures or even higher altitude, or use less water, or even be more nutritional. They do not need to have chemicals added to their genes. GMOs have been around for a long time as humankind have been farming. We modify all our foods over time to meet our current tastes and present desires. For example, if I grow 4 tomato plants and that one tomato plant is amazing in looks and taste, I would save those seeds and grow them next year. I now have GMO tomatoes since I am genetically modifying that tomato by only growing the best of that every year and not growing from what I don't like. Everything in nature is GMO and not an exact clone of the parent. We are GMO of our parents who look at at dogs and cats. All GMO. Do you like lettuce? GMO. Look at the flowers. I look at the flowers all the time. All GMO. GEO is another story. There are 3 branches of GMO. I also wrote about that in another column. The first, as I mentioned above, we choose to grow what we like, thereby modifying that food. The second is when you expose food cells to radiation and we use the resulting mutation. Yeah. And the third is when we splice into the gene whatever. You can see that these last 2 are very dangerous to play with, since even Mother Nature in her wisdom has not done so. She has had plenty of time if she wanted to. So that's basically the show for today. I'm on every week just for you guys. Come to invisiblegardener.com if you want to see more. Now I'm going to play my latest song called Higher Self. Have a good time. Bye. Oh, look at butterfly. I like butterfly. I don't eat butterflies. No. Yeah. Ah, boy.